In the heart of the city stood a grand bank, bustling with people rushing about their daily lives. Among them was an old black man who often wandered the streets, carrying a well-worn sack that looked like it held countless secrets. His name was Mr. Jenkins, and he had an air of wisdom that captivated anyone who took a moment to notice him. His skin was weathered by time, but his eyes sparkled with a mischievous twinkle, hinting at the hidden knowledge he possessed. As he strolled through the crowded sidewalks, children would pause to stare, curious about the stories he might tell. They saw an old man, but for those willing to listen, Mr. Jenkins revealed depths far beyond his years. He often spoke in riddles and parables, sharing lessons from a life filled with adventure and hardship. Yet today felt different. There was an unusual energy radiating from him as he made his way toward the bank, as if he was preparing to unveil something monumental. As he approached the bank's entrance, people around him kept bustling about their routines, unaware that this unassuming man would challenge everything they believed. Inside the grand bank, the atmosphere buzzed with the sounds of clicking keyboards and ringing phones. Employees sat at their desks, shuffling papers and tapping away at computers, while customers stood in line, impatiently checking their watches. The air was filled with a sense of urgency, as everyone seemed caught up in the daily grind of banking life. On one side, a friendly teller helped a young woman open her first savings account, using cheerful words to assure her that she was making a great choice. Meanwhile, an older gentleman grumbled as he reviewed his statement, muttering about fees and numbers that seemed to grow taller by the day. Just above it all, a large clock ticked steadily, marking the seconds that seamlessly blended into mundane moments. Yet, beneath this layer of ordinary activity, a curious tension began to brew as Mr. Jenkins entered the building. With his well-worn sack slung over his shoulder, his arrival went unnoticed at first. People were too busy to look up from their tasks, oblivious to the quiet storm approaching, a storm that would soon shake their routines to the core. As Mr. Jenkins stepped deeper into the bank, his presence finally caught the attention of a few curious onlookers. The chatter died down as he approached the center of the room, standing tall despite his age. With a deep breath, he removed his sack from his shoulder and set it down with a thud that echoed through the silence. All eyes were now on him, and a few people exchanged puzzled glances. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mr. Jenkins began, his voice steady and clear, "I am here to tell you that I own this bank." The declaration hung in the air like a bolt of lightning, shocking everyone into disbelief. A few snickers erupted from the crowd, while others stared at him wide-eyed, sure they must have misheard. "I'm not joking," he continued, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes. "This bank was built on my family's dreams, and I have the proof." The laughter faded as curiosity replaced it. Conversations halted as employees leaned in to listen more closely. Mr. Jenkins had entered as an unassuming man, but was now at the center of something extraordinary. A wave of laughter erupted from the crowd as Mr. Jenkins made his bold claim, the sound echoing throughout the bank. Some employees exchanged amused glances, shaking their heads at what they assumed was just another eccentric old man spouting nonsense. "Maybe he's lost his way," whispered a young teller to her colleague, who stifled a giggle. The old man's weathered face, however, wore a calm expression that only added to the absurdity of the moment. While some customers chuckled, others looked on with raised eyebrows, unsure whether to join in or to feel concern for this harmless figure. "Does he really think anyone will believe that?" An impatient line cutter scoffed aloud, provoking more laughter. Yet amid the snickers and jeers, a few began to wonder if there might be some truth behind his declaration. Still, most dismissed it as folly. For them, Mr. Jenkins was simply a quaint storyteller weaving tales from his colorful past, lost in dreams not meant for serious ears, a mere diversion in their busy day. Little did they know that dismissing him so lightly would soon lead them to regret their laughter. After the laughter subsided, Mr. Jenkins straightened his posture, his calm demeanor contrasting the chaos around him. "If you don't believe me, I can prove it," he proclaimed, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. He reached into his well-worn sack, and a hush fell over the crowd. Curiosity piqued despite their initial dismissal. "What could he possibly have?" whispered one customer to another, skepticism lacing their tone. The teller who had earlier laughed rolled her eyes, but couldn't help leaning closer to see what was happening. From his sack, Mr. Jenkins pulled out an old leather-bound book, its pages yellowed and fragile with age. "This," he said with a glint in his eye, "contains important documents that link my family to this bank's founding." Tension rippled through the room as some exchanged glances of interest, while others scoffed at what they believed to be mere trickery. "Come on, you expect us to believe that old thing is proof?" A skeptical voice called from the back of the line. Yet, as Mr. Jenkins opened the book carefully and revealed its contents, even the doubters felt a spark of intrigue flicker within them. As the crowd leaned in closer, Mr. Jenkins opened the old leather-bound book, revealing yellowed pages filled with elegant handwriting and faded photographs. "This here," he began, pointing to a picture of a bustling street from decades ago, "is my grandfather standing proudly in front of this very bank when it first opened." He shared stories of his family's involvement in the community, highlighting how they had helped establish the bank to serve those who often felt overlooked. "My grandmother used to say that every coin saved was a dream waiting to grow," he recalled, his voice filled with warmth and nostalgia. The room fell silent as people listened intently, their laughter replaced by curiosity. Mr. Jenkins continued, detailing how his ancestors had supported local businesses and families during tough times, weaving tales of resilience and hope that resonated with many present. "You see," he said with a knowing smile, "this bank isn't just bricks and mortar. It carries the hopes and dreams of many generations." As he spoke, a sense of connection began to form between him and the listeners, challenging their earlier dismissiveness and inviting them into a larger story. As Mr. Jenkins shared more of his family's history, a few intrigued bank employees began to whisper among themselves, exchanging glances that hinted at their growing curiosity. After he finished speaking, one young employee named Sarah, who had been captivated by his stories, approached her boss in the back office. "I think we should look into our old records," she suggested, eager to see if there was any truth to what Mr. Jenkins had claimed. Motivated by a mix of disbelief and fascination, they began to sift through dusty archives and ledgers. As they dug deeper, they stumbled upon old documents that referenced a partnership between the bank's founders and a family named Jenkins, a name that echoed with a certain familiarity. The records detailed contributions from Mr. Jenkins's ancestors during the bank's establishment, revealing a legacy intertwined with local history. With each new discovery, their skepticism waned, replaced by excitement. Sarah found a handwritten letter tied to a large donation from Mr. Jenkins's great-grandfather that had helped fund the construction of the bank. The connections were undeniable. As the team pieced together this hidden history, they realized just how significant Mr. Jenkins really was. As the bank employees continued to dig through records, the atmosphere shifted palpably. Those who had once mocked Mr. Jenkins now exchanged glances filled with newfound respect and disbelief. The initial laughter that had filled the room was replaced by hushed conversations and whispering admiration as evidence of his family's contributions mounted. Sarah, along with her colleagues, gathered a selection of documents showcasing Mr. Jenkins's ancestors' involvement in the bank's foundation. With each discovery, stories of their generosity and support for local families came to light, transforming their view of Mr. Jenkins from a mere eccentric old man to a vital figure deeply woven into the fabric of the community's history. By the time they returned to him, their attitudes had completely changed. The mockery was gone, replaced by genuine curiosity about his life and legacy. Mr. Jenkins stood patiently, ready to share more as they approached him with humility. They realized that he was not just a storyteller, but a keeper of their shared history, a man whose quiet strength and deep knowledge now shone brightly in their eyes. Respect filled the room, bridging gaps between generations and reminding everyone that wisdom often comes wrapped in unlikely packages. With the room buzzing with a mix of curiosity and respect, Mr. Jenkins prepared to unveil the final piece of evidence that would confirm his ownership claim. He could feel the weight of anticipation in the air as all eyes fixed on him, eager to see what he would reveal next. "Now," he said, his voice steady yet filled with emotion, "I have something very special to show you." He reached back into his well-worn sack and pulled out a folded piece of parchment, carefully unfolding it as he went. The crowd leaned in closer, their breaths held in suspense. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. As he laid the document flat on a nearby table, gasps echoed through the room. It was an original deed of ownership, signed by the bank's founders and linking it directly to Mr. Jenkins's family line. The signature at the bottom bore a striking resemblance to that of Mr. Jenkins's great-grandfather. A stunned silence enveloped them as realization dawned. This wasn't just a tale, but a tangible truth that could not be ignored. The laughter had vanished completely, replaced by awe and disbelief as everyone absorbed the stunning revelation before them. As the crowd absorbed the weight of Mr. Jenkins's revelation, a profound silence hung in the air, giving way to thoughtful reflections. Each person in the room began to process the journey they had taken, from initial mockery to deep respect for a man they once dismissed as a dreamer. It became clear that wisdom can often be found in unexpected places, wrapped in the stories of those who may not fit conventional molds. In that moment, many realized the importance of listening before judging others. They had been quick to laugh at Mr. Jenkins, not understanding the rich history and invaluable lessons he carried with him. This experience served as a powerful reminder that everyone has their own story, filled with experiences and insights that deserve attention. As Mr. Jenkins looked around the room, he saw faces transformed by humility and newfound understanding. He knew that his purpose had extended beyond proving ownership. It was about teaching respect for one another and acknowledging our shared histories. The bank had not only gained a deeper connection with its past, but also learned an important lesson about compassion, respect, and the value of every individual's voice in their community.